I'm on the phone with Ralph, Dr. Ralph Napolitano, and this is actually our second attempt at recording this. He dropped a lot of wisdom last time, and I'm excited to have him on again, and I think you're really going to benefit from this. Before starting, I'm just going to let Ralph introduce himself, why you should listen to him, and maybe tell us a little bit about what you do.
All right, yeah, great to be here. Hopefully we get this one going again. This call would be cool. We had a good call last time. It was a good conversation, so it was worth it. Um, yeah, I'm Dr. Ralph Napolitano. I have a pretty sometimes interesting and strange life. I'm a fourth generation restaurant owner that was started by my great grandparents in 1927, and we've been in the restaurant business. It's over 90 years now, and I've been working in the restaurant since I'm a little kid. I can't remember not working in the restaurant, to be honest. And I'm also a practicing chiropractor. I've been doing that for about 18 years now. So most of my business is offline in the real world. So I have a pretty unique take on things sometimes.
And that's exactly what we're going to start off talking about because I think we have a very one-sided perspective. A lot of guys that do this online business stuff like I do, we've got this very small idea of what business is. And the truth is business is a lot larger than just niche sites, drop shipping, personal branding. There's a lot more to it, and I think we can learn a lot from the offline world. So could you just sort of give us an idea of what your current role is in those businesses that you run?
Well, the restaurant business, my restaurant side, I basically take care of the front of the house, which would be making sure the customers and guests have the best experience that they could possibly have. I also do some of the marketing for the restaurant as well. And in my chiropractic practice, of course, I treat patients and I take care of them. And I also do some of the marketing and stuff for the chiropractic office as well. Bring in new clients, new patients, make them pay, stay, refer, and just to make sure, again, same thing, people have a good experience when they walk in that door.
Could you give us an idea of how much time you spend on each business in an average week?
The average, well, practicing chiropractic is only 3 days a week. Actual office hours that we have on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Um, Usually about 8 to 10 hours a day on those 3 days. So we kind of pack it in those hours. We find that it's been beneficial that we cut our hours at the chiropractic practice, and it's actually increased our patient visits and money that we've made. In the restaurant, sometimes it seems like it's 24 hours, 7 days a week, because even though we're not physically there, it's still everything is talked about. You know, we're constantly talking about my brother and I. Oh, excuse me. My brother is the chef in the restaurant, and he really runs the day-to-day operations there. But I'm usually there on the weekends, Saturdays, Sundays. Sometimes I pop in during the week. It depends if we got an event going on or something special going on. And but it's when it's the family business, it's almost like constant 24/7. You're always talking about something. You get a phone call, get a text message, whatever it is, and have to take care of whatever we got to take care of in that side of the business.
From coming from the online world, I think a lot of people have a skewed perception of the startup capital required to start
Hmm.
a real physical business. Could you talk a
Right.
little bit about what costs were involved in starting the chiropractic business and perhaps how you financed that, if you got a bank loan or anything like that?
Right. Well, in the starting of a chiropractic practice, mostly is based heavily in the equipment that you buy. Space rental, finding out a good space location, is also important. You take that. I guess the online world will take that for granted because location can be anywhere in the online world. In the physical world, location could make or break your whole business. So Startup costs probably could, if I remember back when I first started my practice, its startup costs were probably about, uh, see, chiropractic tables could, talking about putting in a phone system, talking about putting in just decorating an office with chairs and pictures and all kinds of stuff that you want to make it look nice when people walk through the door. Probably anywhere from 80,000, probably about 80,000, close to. Talking about having an X-ray machine, which at the time ran about $15,000 to put an X-ray machine in, and that was probably the biggest expense. The chiropractic tables that you have can run any. One of the tables that I had was about $7,000. One of the adjusting tables. Another one was two other ones that I had were about $1,000. So you could get up there between 80,000 to really put a practice together. And you could go more expensive too if you really wanted to get fancy into all kinds of crazy equipment. But that's not what I do. I practice old school chiropractic. We adjust with, we use mostly our hands all the time, hands-on stuff, and so it could be quite expensive.
And I take it if you were starting a restaurant, like starting from scratch today, that would be even more expensive.
Yeah, well, most definitely. The biggest expense in the restaurant is going to be the kitchen. Kitchen equipment. You want to have the best of the best. You want to make sure you have top of the line, because that's where you're making all your money. Making sure the kitchen's run efficiently and make sure the food is cooked on time. Make sure everything is accessible, and like I said, efficiency is the key. So you could run anywhere. I mean, some restaurants. I know a few restaurant guys that have recently opened a few places. Especially you're talking in Manhattan, in New York City. Literally could run $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $1 million, depending on the space, depending on how big it is, depending how fancy you want to make it. It could be a very, very big expense to open up a restaurant. So you're talking a lot of money to start a restaurant business.
It's interesting for perspective, because specifically with what I teach with dropshipping, a lot of guys get mixed up, because some sources say like the startup costs are very small, so then people get the idea that they can start it with like $50, $100. But like with what I do, like you need $1,000. So $1,000 is a small startup cost compared to traditional businesses, but that's just sort of where the perspective online is just so skewed what it costs to start a real physical business. So I think it's great that you're coming on and giving us an insight into that world.
Well, it's funny because I know a lot about the online world, as probably compared to most of brick and mortar business owners, and sometimes I hear and read like some people complaining about startup costs for for an online business. Oh, I had to spend $2,000 to get. I'm like, huh? Yeah, I'm like, good for you. You should be running with that. You should be making so much money after starting a business, and then you don't have to be attached to a physical spot. You should be making a ton of money doing that, without a doubt.
Could you talk a little bit about the restaurant business and sort of the key reasons why it's survived for all these years? I mean, it's been passed along through the generations, where if I look in my local area, every year there's a restaurant that closes down because it goes bankrupt.
Yeah, restaurant business is probably, one of the toughest businesses there is. There's so much competition. There's a new restaurant, new place to eat, something popping up all the time, and most of the times they do close because they really don't understand what it takes to operate a restaurant business. And people just walk inside the restaurant, they open the menu, they see you charging like $18 for a dish of pasta, and they say, "Oh wow, people they're making millions here. I cook it better. I could open a restaurant and oh wow, we we'd be rich." And then they decide to go and do it, and they finally figure out that probably the last thing to worry about is having food, the the best food in the world, which definitely helps, you know. But food isn't the only thing that makes the business. You got to have everything. You got to have a story. You got to have good quality food. You got to have service, and that's the one thing I believe that has separated my family's business from most other restaurants. Is growing up in a tradition of being of service and adding value to people's lives, and not just about serving them a dish of pasta. So that's how I learned how to take care of people when I was a kid. And my grandmother used to just uh, she would make people feel like they were part of the family, and whenever they walked in the restaurant, people would come from all over to see her and want to eat her cooking. And my grandmother used to, we always used to laugh because I think she holds like, if there was a Guinness World Record for being a godparent to someone's child, because my grandmother wound up being a godmother to every single kid in the neighborhood where where we lived. It was really funny, and as they got older, I remember being a young boy and all these people coming in saying, "Yeah, this is my godmother, my godmother." I'm like, "How many people have you baptized?" And that's how it was back then. So you learn those principles, and you just shift those principles from the restaurant business, and I shifted them into our chiropractic business, and it's worked just as well. It's really about adding value to people's lives, being of service, giving them the great experience. We serve very simple food in the restaurant: pastas, chicken. Nothing. We don't have dishes that are extraordinarily fancy food or anything like that. But people still come, and they've been coming for generations as well inside the restaurant. So to me, it's a testimony to the people that came before us, my brother and I, and then we just try to carry on those traditions as much as we can.
A lot of people talk about giving value, and you said it a few times there as well. My guess is the value you offer people is not just feeding them.
Yeah.
Could you like explain what you mean under this somewhat vague term?
Right. Everybody says, "Well, what is that supposed to really mean?" When someone comes in the restaurant, even if it's somebody new that I've never seen before, it's almost having a conversation with somebody. It's wanting to get to know that person, where they come from, what they do for a living, what kind of family life they have. I mean, this is, the norm for me and my brother, how we take care of our customers. And just that alone, in this day and age where, you walk in, I'll speak of the restaurant business. When you're walking into the, it's almost like restaurant business is automation and using computer systems and all this kind of, we don't use any of that inside of a restaurant. We still handwrite our checks. We don't use a computer system and hand you a computer printout at the end of your meal. So, and we definitely don't. I'll tell you my pet peeve, the thing I hate the most, in the restaurant business, in the restaurant industry, I absolutely hate when I walk into a restaurant myself, and the person standing at the front door behind this desk, and they hardly look up at your face, and they ask you, "How many people you have?" "I'll have 4 people." "Okay, it'll be 15 minutes. And then they hand you this little buzzer thing with the lights on it. "Okay, we'll call you when we'll call you when we're ready." And I always like look at that, and I'm like, "What do you mean you're gonna call me when you're ready? You should come find me. You should walk out from behind the desk that you're sitting at, and you should come over to me and find me when the table is ready, not buzz me and walk in your door." I think and people have gotten used to that. And to truth, that's the biggest bullshit I've ever seen in my entire life. I would never, and it's usually these big corporate restaurants and all this kind of stuff. I would change the whole dynamic of those restaurants, those businesses. I would. That's the first thing I'd take away. No buzzers. You want the person's waiting. You're gonna go find them. You're gonna walk around and you're gonna go find that person and you're gonna bring that person to the table without some stupid computerized device in their hand, some beeper. That's horrible. You know. So that's the kind of stuff that you get when you come into my restaurant. You're treated as you're the important person, not everybody else around. You're going to be the person that we're going to really want to look at and take care of. And like I said, my grandmother used to, before the days of all the Google Maps and looking on your phone for directions and all this other kind of stuff. I mean, people would, the neighborhood that we're in the Bronx, New York, all Italian Americans. It was 70,000 Italian Americans living in the little area, and not only was like I said, my grandmother this restaurant person, but she was like a person that you could come to for help and to ask questions to, and people would actually come to see my grandmother and even my father talk about family issues. They would sit down with my grandmother. They would talk about their husbands and their wives, and they would have trouble with family, and they would need favors, and they'd need help, and all this kind of stuff would go on inside our restaurant. So to me, that always left a big impact on me. It's it's not about just feeding these people food. It's getting involved in their lives and being part of their life, and then they trust in you enough to come and ask for help with things that are going on in their life. So I think that was a big thing, and I think that's one of the major reasons why our family business has lasted so long, having that reputation.
What you do is you add the personal touch. And
Yeah, you just right personal touch, absolutely.
I've written down in my notes that I wanted to talk about positioning and differentiation with you, but you've actually just said those two things yourself in your own words. Like you're a small business,
Yep.
and you've got this personal touch to it. It's not automated. It's just a human connection, and
Right.
that's how you differentiate from these larger corporations. And I mean, I'm no restaurant business owner or anything, but what I think happens to a lot of small businesses or restaurants is that they look up to the bigger guys in the business, and they
Yep.
try to copy, they try to emulate them rather than to differentiate. And is that something that you see as well, or am
Yeah.
I
Oh yeah,
mistaking
most
something?
definitely. No, you most definitely. Some people want to, especially at starting of the business. They start their restaurant business and they look at. I guess they watch the TV commercials with all these big corporate type restaurants, these franchises and chains, and they look at the way they're pricing their meals, they're pricing whatever they're doing, and they say, oh, I guess that's the way you have to attract people in and get people to come to the restaurant. And I think that's where they fall short because they want to make it this automated, corporate type uh, situation in business, and then they fail miserably because they forget the customer experience and they concentrate on, oh well, if I just have great food, the world is going to come, and that's just not true. It's not gonna be. I always, when we talk about the restaurant business, I have sometimes a group of people that I meet with, and we talk about business and everything. And we always talk about that factor: great food versus great service. What's the real thing? And I always say, look, you got to understand something. You know, uh, McDonald's does not have the best hamburgers. As a matter of fact, their hamburgers are probably one of the worst you could ever buy on the market. But they have a huge clientele. They make billions of dollars every year selling crappy food. So that debunks the whole myth of just having the best food. The reason why McDonald's has what they have is because of the marketing, because of the positioning that they have in the marketplace. Now, Of course, you're not going to have the marketing budget of McDonald's to have Super Bowl commercials that cost $5 million for 60 seconds, but you could still take those principles, kind of look at what they do and how they kind of grab some of that market share, and you could do it inside your own small little business. You don't have to be a celebrity or famous to everyone. You just want to be famous to and a celebrity to the people that follow you or come into your restaurant. So that's really a big thing too.
Can you talk a little bit about how you acquire new customers in both the chiropractic and the restaurant business?
Yeah. Well, the restaurant business, a lot of what we do now is doing online marketing, Facebook marketing, and search engine optimization and stuff like that. So and how I came about that is back in I have a Facebook page for our restaurant since 2008. You know, when Facebook, someone had told me about this Facebook thing, and they were really explaining it to me, and they were saying it's going to be huge, and this is going to be the next big thing. You got to try and get on there. So I did. I put up a Facebook page, but I really had no clue what to do. Nobody was really becoming a fan of the page. You know, I just was putting up pictures on there, and nobody was paying attention. So I didn't really understand the principles of it. And then as time went by, then I kind of understood the principles of Facebook. And then also in that time period, I said, how can we get a different edge? Because when I was a kid, a young boy, up until the late 80s, early 90s, there was only about 4 or 5 different restaurants around our area where we were. And it's a small area in the Bronx. It's a Little Italy section of the Bronx, New York. And having these small, not much competition, you know, you used to just open your door and everybody would come in. Then as things went by, I'll just take it to the present day. There's probably about 19 sit-down restaurants. There's, little coffee shops, pizza shops, all these little eateries that have popped up besides the other restaurants. So one of the things I started saying is how can I differentiate, and you know, started talking to some people, and they talked about getting online and being on Google and getting search engine optimization. And these are words I had no idea about. I didn't even understand any of it. So I hired a website guy who built this beautiful website. I mean, it was awesome the way it looked. And I thought that's what it had to be, but he obviously didn't know anything about search engine optimization and the lead capture and, you know, capturing emails, addresses, and he had no clue of any of that. And we had this big, beautiful website up there, but it didn't seem like anybody was finding us or coming in or saying they saw our website. So then I started really diving in and learning how to get people to get to the website, what are the things you have to do, and I kind of scrapped the website. I took it down and I built a one-page website, a landing page, like it's called, right, in the online world. I built a landing page, not even a full-out website, and all the landing page had on it was a headline and a Weber opt-in box, and I still use Weber. So it was an Weber opt-in box, and basically I gave away a $10 gift certificate for people to come inside the restaurant. I didn't even have any pictures of the restaurant. I had no pictures of food. I had I put the phone number of the restaurant and the address, and it was just a basic headline that I figured out was going to work for the search engine, looking up keywords in Google, and people would search Arthur Avenue restaurants. That was one of the big keywords. And so I just put in my title and my headline, hey, are you looking for an Arthur Avenue restaurant? Come experience, 90 years of 5 generations of the best Italian food in the area. Here's a $10 gift certificate. Put your name and email address, and I'll send it to you right away. That was our whole website that was up. And after I put it up, all of a sudden, little by little, each day, I was getting 5 opt-ins, 8 opt-ins, 10, 20, 50, 100. We were almost getting like 200 opt-ins a day to take the gift certificate. And I was like, this is incredible. This can't be real. and all basically for free. And all these people were coming in with this gift certificate for $10. And my brother was like, what is all this stuff? How did you, how did you do all this? I said, I don't know. I just kind of followed step by step. I really don't know exactly how to do it. I just saw, I read a guy's website. I read a little blog post. I read whatever it is to figure out how to get this done. And it really increased our business. That it went from, there was the economic downturn that happened here in the States from that time around 2008, 9, 10. Actually, our restaurant business actually almost doubled because of the online stuff that we were doing. And then capturing them in and having a little email newsletter that I started. It wasn't anything special, and I still do it, and it's still not anything special. Once or twice a month, I just hit people up and say, hey, what's going on? This is what we've been doing. This is what we have going on in the restaurant. Here's a little gift certificate for you. Why don't you come on in, or something as a special, as a customer appreciation and things like that. So we still have the website running in that fashion. It's a bigger website now, a little bit more, out, but it's still the basics, the headline, the opt-in box, a little video, welcome video and stuff like that. Yeah, and that's basically how I kind of separated myself from the rest of the other restaurants, and it's still working today.
I think you mentioned sort of like a business mastermind that you have where you talk to other business owners and discuss this type of stuff. Is that right?
Sometimes we just have we try to do something on a monthly basis. A lot of times they, just come to the restaurant and we just have a little dinner and we just talk about different, it's mostly, brick and mortar businesses. One guy's like a jewelry store owner. One guy is, one guy he's in the clothing business. So it's just, it's not even like I wouldn't even call it a formal mastermind. It's just like get together, we start talking business. What have you discovered? What have you doing? What have you tried to do to get into? Oh, another dentist. I have a dentist in the group also. And we just talk like, what have you done? What have you discovered? What's working for you? And I think that's a good principle also, to look inside other businesses and see what they're doing, and then just try to emulate it somehow and bring it into your business. And I think that's, especially online, I think this is good that, if you're an online business owner and you really, want to get an edge, you want to talk to someone like me who has a different perspective on it and does things almost, I do some similar stuff to online marketers, but it's just capturing them and getting people to come to a location, a physical location. So I think it's good that you want to talk. You don't want to just keep inside your own little head and think you know it all, because you're never going to know it all. You have to, no matter how long you're in business, no matter how successful your business is, don't get, lazy and think, oh yeah, I got this. Oh yeah, making this amount of money, beautiful, and don't ever think that way. Don't get lazy.
Absolutely. What I wanted to ask was, what you're talking about with the simple landing page type website where you get people to opt in. I don't see many local businesses doing that. Have other people that you talk to in this sort of group, have they done that, and have they experienced the same results? Or?
Well, these people, they have a web presence, but they don't cop to the principles, because here's the thing, it's not easy to do. It's time consuming. So if you're going to do it yourself, which I decided to do when I first did it in around 2008, around that time, if you decide to do it yourself, it's time consuming. You're running a business yourself, and then now you're going to have to do all that marketing stuff. So a lot of people aren't willing to do or go that extra edge in that. Even in our chiropractic business, I have chiropractic business we're in. I have a partner in it, and we're on board with all of this stuff, and we get a lot of people from almost the same principles, working on getting people in the door through search engine optimization and stuff, and that's a big part of our chiropractic business as well. And most people have found we'll find a lot of our patients that come through the Google Places, the local market. When you search for something locally, and those Google Places come up with our website comes up number one, with ranked number one in our area for Google Places. We got good reviews on there, so people find us that way, and they come in, and I try to explain this to other business owners, the importance of having your Google Places, people searching for a certain keyword, your local area, and getting into the just finding your business that way is huge. It's basically free marketing, because everybody's online, everybody's searching for something online. So it's like, but trying to get someone who's had a brick and mortar business for all these years to start talking to them about online stuff, that it's kind of still foreign to people, if you could believe that. And that's what, if you want to have a good business, I swear I think you can make a chunk of change just consulting with businesses and fixing their Google Places, pulling up any dentists and doctors and restaurants, and just searching for all these places and just helping them optimize their Google Places, not even their website, just optimize their Google Places page, and you could probably make yourself a pretty penny just consulting on that. I think you could just help businesses get them through the door, and it would be perfect,
What mistakes do you see businesses making with Google Places specifically?
Well, the mistakes that they make, they're just leaving them alone. They're just not doing anything with them. They're not doing it. They have a listing, but they didn't, they don't follow, they don't have any good pictures up there. They don't have good descriptions of the restaurant and help to get it into the online world, and search engine optimization, keywords, and all that kind of stuff. Then they don't really take advantage of it. And it's crazy. It's free. Google actually gives you this spot that you could optimize and get it to top of the rankings, so I don't know why a lot of businesses don't take advantage of it, brick and mortar businesses.
Could you talk a little bit about the chiropractic business, sort of the sales funnel, if you have anything like that?
Right. Yeah, it's chiropractic business. If you, unfortunately, like we do, we play the insurance game, unfortunately, which is, imagine if you guys on your online marketing sold a product, and then you had to wait 45 days to get your payment, right? Wouldn't that be a nightmare? So, and that's almost what it's like. You play in this game where you see the patient, and then you have to wait to get your payment, and then half the time they don't even pay, and it's a whole other monster that you have to deal with inside of a medical practice in general when you're treating patients in the insurance game. But yeah, we have a funnel. You know what? Probably the funnel. You call it a funnel, and I kind of, you take these principles again from online, and you look at what they're doing, and like more in the restaurant business, when you're talking about a funnel, you get that patient, you get that person in, they see you online, they take their $10 gift certificate, they make a reservation, they come in the door. Now, kind of knowing that, now you got to put on the show to make sure this is the first time that they're here, and you kind of find this stuff out when they walk in, and then your funnel starts, because like I said, the restaurant business, they sit down, they want to place their order. So the first thing that we have for them, I have a cocktail menu that we have in the restaurant that has 5 or 6 signature cocktails that we make specifically to us, and a few of them have some stories behind it. Like one of our most popular drinks is a triple shot espresso martini that we make. and it's the most popular drink that we make because of the story behind it. Our grandfather Tony, every morning who started his day, used to have 3 shots of espresso. So that's how, we basically sell the drink by telling a story about it. And people want to be inside that story. Oh, wow, really? Oh, wow, let me get one of those. And then they drink it. It tastes great, and then you go on. And then we have 3 dishes on our menu that, one of our grandmother Ann's original recipes. And the 3 recipes that are on that menu were actually been on the menu since 1941. And my grandmother Ann had cooked these 3 dishes for my grandfather on that wedding night. So she took all his favorite ingredients and she cooked these 3 separate dishes, and they ate them on their wedding night. And so people get immersed in the story, and so you take them down the funnel. Then it's, again, adding a side order. Would you like to try the meatballs? Would you like to try the certain type of sauces on the side? So you take them all the way through. You take them all the way to the dessert. The dessert, we have grandmother Ann's homemade Italian cheesecake that she was making in the restaurant when she was a teenager. So we're serving that recipe for well over 70 years. So when you tell that little story at the end, at least one person is always going to order that piece of cheesecake. As I say, listen, we also have my grandmother Ann's, original homemade Italian cheesecake made with ricotta cheese, anisette, rum, and it's in my grandmother Ann's recipe that we've been making here for over 70 years. As soon as you tell that little story, that 5-second story, people always look up and go, oh, wow, really? And someone at the table is always going to, oh, I got to try that. I got to try Grandma Ann's cheesecake. So, that's kind of the funnel. You want to talk about having a funnel inside the restaurant with the upsell and the desserts and getting all, it's really, you take those principles from the online world and you bring them into the restaurant. And that's the one thing, also a big differentiation, the stories behind the food and the dishes that you have and the drinks that you serve, having a story behind all of them, definitely helps a lot. And I think, I look at some of successful online businesses, and it seems to me the ones that are really killing it and having huge success are the ones that have these stories behind what they do, So I think that's a big thing that you got to, really kind of implement, is getting the story out there, even if it's about yourself, whatever it is. People want to hear that. They want to be involved inside who you are, and not necessarily a product that you sell.
As someone who has studied sales, like all this stuff you're telling me, it's just salesmanship in person, and people get mixed up. They think selling has to be like door to door, or it has to be a long form sales letter, and that's just not true, because you learn these principles perhaps from direct response marketing, but then you can just apply it to the business model of a restaurant, where instead of sending out a long form sales letter, you just tell your story in person. And it's the same stuff, it's the same principles, just applied in a different way. And just so few people do this. If online marketers took that knowledge, that experience, and they just worked as a waiter for a few years, I think they would notice that a lot of what they've learned online actually makes them a far better waiter than somebody who's just had like an apprenticeship working in a restaurant. Like, if you combine those skills, you can do a lot of great stuff.
Oh, without a doubt. One of the things I always tell people, and even parents that I know, I said that the first place you should make your child go work at is you should make them work in a restaurant. It teaches you so many. You have to have. It teaches interpersonal skills. That's one thing. You have to talk to everybody face to face. I've been talking to people. I mean, that's on my personal side, I've always looked at online business, and I say, yeah, this is something I want to do. I'd love to be able to have more freedom, just sell stuff. And then, on days where I'm not necessarily working inside the chiropractic business or the restaurant, I, I'm like bored out of my mind because I'm always used to talking to someone and interacting, that human interaction, and just trying to sit down and even write an email or something. I get like, this is, wait, I got to talk to people. I got to see somebody's face. This is, really, really crazy. So I don't know how. I give a lot of credit to guys that are just killing it online and making money like that. It's it's to me, it's like it's a foreign thing. It's like opposite. I'm sure the online guys saying, "Oh, I would never want to have that place of business. I don't want to, whatever." But I give a lot of credit to guys that could just sit home or just not interact with people on a face-to-face level and just not do it. But the restaurant business, if you worked as a waiter, you would, first of all, you'd learn more about people, different types of people, all ethnicities, all backgrounds, all classes, people, very rich people, middle class people, even people that are not so, poor people. Just you learn. I've learned so many of my life lessons. I've learned inside the four walls of my family's restaurant. That it's been a good thing because it's helped me, adapt in life in general. And so you should really, really work, and you should. And I think it's a good idea. Every online guy, if you want to make a couple, you know what, you could make a little nice extra money, cash in your pocket at the end of the night, every time at the end of your shift. So it would be a good thing if you went and worked in the restaurant business for a little bit and see what it's really like.
I want to talk a bit about personal freedom because
Mm-hmm.
from the local business owners that I know, and I know quite a few actually now, and it sounds like you're the same. They are tied to their business. Like
Yep.
for me, at the moment I'm traveling, I'm working a few hours every day, and then I go do whatever I want. In the evening, I can party all night, and then come back and work the next day. What is the benefit of having a business if you're then tied to being there? You have probably less freedom to leave or go on vacation or travel or move
Mm-hmm.
to another city. What would you say to people who frown on having a business that ties them to a location?
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, you definitely have less freedom to do probably more of the things, if you wanted to do it. But for me personally, uh, especially on the restaurant business, it's not really a business. I never. It's hard to. We don't view it as a business. Like last night. We summertime around, because now it's summertime now, so it doesn't. We're not as busy in the summertime. Everybody goes away and everything. So last night was not a busy night. It was an okay night, but I, people came in that we haven't seen in over a year, and like I said, the personal touch. The reason why we haven't seen them, they had a death in the family. They finally got back. So now you're interacting with people, and it's almost like you're not working. You're like almost home, talking to people, or you're almost out having a good time. So it's how you view and what you value in that. I'm a little older, so I don't necessarily worry about hanging out till 5 o'clock in the morning anymore. So I value the experiences of people coming in and having interactions and serving them and having a good time. And it's almost like the outlet for us anyway in our business. The outlet of it's not necessarily work, but you're having a good time. You had a good experience. I go home and I feel like I didn't work, because it was people interacting and having a good time, having laughs with people and having drinks and doing all this cool stuff. And you know what it is? Everybody comes to you. You don't have to go out to have a good time. Everybody shows up to you because they want to have a good time. So kind of like how I always view it, because if I go out to eat in a restaurant, and I'm not a big food critic. I'm not a critic of restaurants. I don't walk in and go, oh, this is no good. But if I go out to a restaurant, the whole experience is ruined, because as soon as I walk in, the business mind takes over. You see what they're doing, you see all these kind of things that they're doing, and you understand what they're doing, and it's all smoke and mirrors, and they're making you think something's better than it's not. So it's like it's all ruined for me when I go into a restaurant to eat. So I'm like, oh wow, they do that, yeah. And I make mental notes also, and I take some of their things and try to shift it into my restaurant. And so going out even to bars, these kind of places, it all gets ruined because I start thinking about the business angle. Oh wow, this is really cool. This is smart that they did this, because that's going to attract more business and more sales, and so like going out is almost ruined for me anyway. So it depends on what you want. It really does in business. It really does. It depends on what you want. I don't think either one is worse or better. I think business principles are the same no matter what. No matter what you do, business principles are the same. Because if you don't, like I said, you might have more freedom as having an online business, and I think that could almost be one of the reasons why most online businesses fail, because they're thinking about their freedom first before thinking about serving the customers and adding value to whoever's buying their products. And I would highly advise against that. Don't worry about your freedom too much. Worry about taking care of the things that you have to do, and making sure your business is strong, and your customer base that you have is very strong and loyal to you, and then worry about the freedom aspect of it.
You're obviously very passionate about the restaurant business and all that, for all the reasons that you've just explained. What about the chiropractic practice?
Yeah, well, yeah, almost just as much. I'm just as passionate about being a chiropractor as I am as being my family's restaurant business. I could have went to medical school, but I would have got thrown out of medical school, because I would have been like, this is how you take care of people. These are people. These aren't, and so I would have got it wouldn't have been pretty in medical school. But the chiropractic business, like I said, it's a worse business model, because you worry about insurance companies. So that's the one thing that kind of takes the passion out of what you do as a chiropractor. But the biggest thing is I love interacting with the patients, sitting across from somebody when they've had some problem for half their life, and then they walk in to see you, and then it's almost like they're your last hope, because they've been through the medical ringer, basically, pills, surgeries, running around from one doctor to the next, and then all of a sudden you get this person in your office, and you kind of educate them on how their body really operates, and this is the things we should be doing, and it's not just about taking care of your back pain, it's about taking care of the food that you eat, having mindfulness, practicing the mindset of having to take care of your body, not that some outside person or thing is gonna fix your body. It's you're gonna fix your body, and we're gonna do it together. And then all of a sudden the light bulb goes off, and these people start telling you as they're coming in for treatment, wow, I haven't felt this way in a certain amount of years, and I could actually do this now, and I feel like I could sleep better, and I feel happier as a person. I'm not as and all that is just like so worth it that I don't even care about the insurance company or even how much money is coming through the door. So it's, and again, adding value to these people's lives and being of service to them, and without any expectation in return. That's one of the things that I definitely learned as a young boy, is to take care of people and to take care of people's lives, and not just view them as a customer or a person that's going to help make money, that is going to give you money, and because if you take those principles, everything else will happen. Money will come. If your outlook is just how many people how many people, I know the online speak, how many click-throughs did I get, how many, how many page views did I get? How many whatever did I get? How many whatever did I get? And everybody forgets, you know, how did I add value to these people's lives? How did I serve them today? Instead of saying, I got this amount of money, I made this amount of sales, I made this amount of click-throughs, my ROI is not good enough, I have to fix that, you know, and I think you start losing the real perspective on what business really should be. It's not about, you know, I had a discussion with somebody, and I even, you know, I know my Twitter page, I even put it on there. I said, people lose the perspective of adding value to people's lives and really making an impact on their life, and they start worrying about their business and the impact it has in their own life. And I think that's where a lot of business owners, they get a disconnect, and they wind up failing in their business, because they're figuring out how's the business going to serve them instead of how they're going to serve the people and the customers that they're trying to go after. It's very rare occasions where, you know, entrepreneurs, that's another word that's thrown around everywhere, right? Everybody's an entrepreneur, okay? All right, but to me, a true entrepreneur is, and I think especially in the online world, everybody thinks because they have their own business or they're striking out on their own, I'm an entrepreneur. You're not an entrepreneur, you're a business owner. An entrepreneur to me is a person who could literally just, their whole thing is just making money. No matter what they do, they could open any kind of business, they could sell any kind of product, they could do anything basically, and they make money. And that's their drive. That's a true entrepreneur in my eyes. And you know what? That's a rare occasion. I mean, to me, that's the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of people who actually want to start a business. Whatever they sell, whatever they want to do, I'm just here to make money. And I think most entrepreneurs, especially online entrepreneurs, think that's what they are. But human genetics and human, just your physiology doesn't work that way. And most people fail in their business because they think, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm just going to make money, and this is all I'm worried about. And they don't have it in them to do that, and they kind of walk away from the principles, adding value, being of service. It probably makes you sick, me saying that all the time, but if I'm saying it all the time, you should take note of it, because that's what the most important thing in any business, even how you live your life in general every day, forget about business-wise. Being of service, adding value to people's lives, doing what you can for them, and in return, you will get, you know, the riches that you're looking for, and they're not just riches in money, just riches in having a good life, knowing that you served people well, knowing that you did things right. So I think the online business, that's why many people get into it, and I think a lot of people fail because of it, because they just want to make money, 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 and they forget the real principles of how business operates, and that there's people on the other end of that computer and that phone buying your product, and you got to figure out a way how to serve them and to be, you know, make sure that they're being, you know, kept well, and just making them part of the business as well.
I have to add a little comment about the online business stuff, because I've realized myself that it makes a huge difference whether you're selling your own product or somebody else's product. And I started off doing affiliate marketing and then doing dropshipping, and I made good money. I still make good money with those things, but it's nowhere near as fulfilling as this personal brand I've started, for the exact reasons you just said, Ralph, because you're creating something of your own. You identify with the product. I'm proud of the ebook I wrote. I'm proud of my dropshipping course, and I get messages now every single day from people who say, like, they sent me screenshots of their first sales they made. And like, that's the sort of fulfillment you're not going to get from affiliate marketing, you're not going to get it from dropshipping, but you will if you create your own product that you identify with, that you can sell to people, that has an effect on their life. So I'd encourage people to perhaps start with affiliate marketing, but over time you have to create something of your own. Otherwise you're going to fall into that churn and burn dropout model that you've been talking about online.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I get what you're saying. I totally agree with everything you just said. And like I said, there's it's very rare people that could just do business just for money. You know, with, and I know, talk about the smell test, the bullshit test. I know when people just, I know online people trying to sell courses on, how to make money and all that kind of stuff. I could smell it right away who's bullshitting. It's so easy because I know, first of all, being a chiropractor on the other set, knowing how the principles of human physiology work and all these kind of different things, I know it's almost impossible for all these entrepreneurs, money, 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 money. It's not going to work. It's a very rare person who could just, money is the thing. They get their fulfillment out of it, and they get whatever out of it. It's a very rare human being that could actually do that just for the money. Because at some point they like it, you're going to get a lot of it, and then it's going to become hollow. You're trying to figure out, well, why, how come, what am I doing, where am I going, and but I made $1 million last year, but you're still lost because you've lost the whole connection. Now, don't get me wrong, I money is great. Make as much of it as you can because money is freedom to do the things that you want to do. Money is freedom. Money is leverage. So you want to make as much of it as you can while you can and go after it without a doubt. But there's also the factor of you as a person. What are you contributing? What are you doing? How are you moving the world forward? And it's not about moving the world with technology or something. It's just if you just touch one person, like you just said, somebody sends you a screenshot of their first sale, you just set their whole life in a different trajectory than they were before. They got new freedom. They have new opportunities. They have a new outlook on life, a good outlook on life, and you were directly involved in that. Plus, you got money for that sale, so it makes it worthwhile. You want to, that's why you talked about, the restaurant business and my chiropractic business. You don't have the freedom, but the thing that drives me, obviously, as you can tell, is helping and changing and adding value to someone's life. That's like the biggest thing for me. It's kind of an amazing thing when you see that, and when you see it transpire right in front of you, that you actually witness it. It's even more fulfilling, and you feel like, wow, I got to do more of this. I got to help more people. I got to touch more people's lives.
Absolutely. So we're getting up to the 1 hour mark. I just want to talk about
Mm-hmm.
employees quickly, because obviously
Yeah.
you've got plenty of experience managing, hiring, and
Mm-hmm.
all of that. And it's something that I think a lot of people still overlook online.
Yes.
I've been
Very much
hiring,
so.
and it was a great decision. It has made a huge difference on my business. Could you give us some advice on how to hire, any lessons you've learned on how to manage people?
Well, the lessons I've learned definitely from my restaurant business is that's the word employee. I think you got to remove that from your vocabulary. When you hire somebody, you want to make them part of the business. And in our restaurant business, they become part of the family. They're not just a worker. You're involved inside the business and in what we do. You're involved in our story, our legacy, our traditions. We want you to be part of the family. We've actually had, the restaurant business is definitely known for constantly turning over workers, waiters, cooks. Come for 6 months, then don't see them. They move in and out like very rapidly. We are truly blessed because even the staff that we have right now, the other cook in the kitchen, he's working for 22 years. We have another waiter that has been working for 20 years inside our restaurant. Another waiter has been working for 12. And that's a testament to, what we do because we treat them as family, never as employees. One of the guys, gentleman that used to work in our family's restaurant, he worked nearly almost 40 years as a waiter in our restaurant. He put his 3 kids through college, and are all successful in their own right. The man has, you know, 12 grandchildren, no, 9 grandchildren, and I think 1 great grandchild at this point. And he's 92 years old, and he's still part of our family. We still go to his house to visit him, to see how he's doing. Him and his wife. They've been married for like 65 years, um, and you know, he comes to he was at my wedding. He was at my kids' baptisms. He was, you know, so this person has become, you know, part of our family, and his family has become part of our family. So the one thing I would tell you is to immerse your employees inside what you're doing. Don't say, treat them as they were part of your business and part of the family, in other words, and create that culture. Even if you're a one-man show in your online marketing business and you hire a few, I know, virtual assistants, make those people involved in exactly what you're doing. Don't just make them do this, do this, do this. Get them to be, you know, involved in what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish. You'll see a difference in how those people will work for you, without a doubt.
Few practical tips on that from me. I like to talk about we, as in we are launching a product. When I talk to my assistants, I don't say,
Yep.
I'm launching a product, please do this for me. I say, like, we're launching a product. Another thing I do is I like to tell my VA what plans I have for the business in advance. Like, she knows what I'm working towards. She knows before anyone online what the plans are, what future products are, what branding decisions we're making. She knows all that, and she really is like a part of the business, and that's made a huge difference. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. You know, that's you know, people want to, you know, not everybody, again, you know, back to the entrepreneurial stuff. And I see, you know, online, you know, what are the biggest things? Everybody puts college education down. You know, you got a lot of these young guys out there. I see these 20-somethings. Me personally, I don't care if they make $1 million a year. They're still wet behind the ears. They have so much failing to do in life that they don't even know what they're in for yet. There's going to be a lot of failure going to come their way, and you know, they put down college education. They put down someone who's a worker inside of another business or whatever it is, and you know, they're just some people who thrive on and can make a great living working for someone else. You know, I don't, you know, they talk about slavery mentality, all this kind of stuff. Why would you want to work for someone else? And I sit there, I go, you know, there's a lot of people who are out there who don't necessarily want to be the leader. They want to be somebody attached to something important. So you, as the business owner, you should use that to your advantage. Not take advantage of somebody, but use it to your advantage. That there are a lot of people out there who want to be part of something, and who want to follow somebody. So don't look at yourself as the owner or the boss. You got to get that word out of your vocabulary also. Boss, employee, all that kind of shit. That's all bullshit terms. You know, you got to, like you said, I think what you do is very smart. Immersing that person in what we're doing. This is what we're going to do next month. What do you think about that, as a matter of fact? Even ask them the questions. What do you think about that? You think that's a good thing? How do you think we can improve upon that? And this way they actually get to throw their own idea in. I do that a lot in the restaurant business, in our restaurant. You know, I'm thinking about making this new food. Let's, you know, a new dish, a new drink. Let's try it. What are your ideas? You know, and sometimes some guys in the restaurant come up with a cocktail or a recipe idea, and we kind of make it, and we serve it, and then, you know, they're more passionate about it as well. They want to push that dessert that they created or something. So when you immerse those people, don't ever take advantage or think that someone's less of a person, or you should look down upon them because they just want to be an employee or they went to college or whatever it is. There's a lot of people who want to just do that. So treat them as part of the family, treat them as part of your business, and you'll reap the benefits and rewards with 10 times over doing it that way.
You can't let that anti-job propaganda influence the
Yeah,
way you talk to people. That's something.
right.
That's going to stop you from having a good experience when you hire help, because if you think working a job is fundamentally bad, there's no way you can manage employees. It's just
No,
not possible.
right, exactly. So a lot of that rhetoric that I even see online, I look at it, especially someone who went to college and who has benefited immensely from having a college education and a college degree. I get the principles. You lay out a lot of money, and I do see it online today. You could get an education by just watching YouTube, but not everybody's like that. So and just because they're not that way doesn't mean they're less of a person, because they are. So don't look at an employee or somebody that you're going to hire as being weak-minded and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to be honest. I have most of my friends, my boyhood friends that I still have, that from kindergarten in school, they have no presence online. They have no Facebook pages. They have no Twitter accounts. They have nothing. They don't have an Instagram page or nothing. And you know what? And they're employees. None of them own their own businesses. And these guys are the most successful people that I know. So when I hear that rhetoric online, that business and college, and I sit there, I shake my head, a little bit. I'm like, who have they met? I'm like, I don't know who they've met, because one of my friends is a big-time finance guy. He lives in $1 million home. Him and his wife they have both Mercedes Benzes. Their kids go, they have really good lives. They have good retirement accounts. They've made a bunch of money. And so sometimes I see all that rhetoric, and I don't think it's a good thing either. You don't get brainwashed into just thinking that all of that is bad. No, don't do that.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I want to have people like you on to talk about
Right.
this stuff, because there's just
Right.
you get into this hive mentality where everyone you interact with online thinks the same way, and
Right.
that's why I've benefited greatly just from my high school business education. Like we get to choose like a major,
Mm-hmm.
and I've talked to dozens of
Right.
CEOs, high level management, and you realize that there's a world outside of internet marketing and this
Oh
sort
yeah.
of fake entrepreneurship stuff that you see
Yeah.
on Twitter.
Oh, big time. Like I said, most of the people that I really know personally, successfly, are all offline businesses. Some people own their own businesses. Some people just have been employees in companies and different things, and they're extremely successful. They're very happy. They have good lives. They live good lives, and they don't miss anything. So they have freedom to a certain extent. They have some freedoms, and so I don't, I just look at a lot of that stuff online. I'm like, wow, that's what it just proves to me, that they're too young, even though they made $1 million last year, but they're way too young to give this kind of advice. And I think they might do a little bit of a disservice to young people also. I think it's a good thing, because I tell my children about they should really study this online principles and get into some of it and make a little bit of money, but never forget that business principles and life principles are the same online, offline, and you should just really live your life in that fashion.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up this call, could you talk a little bit
Mm-hmm.
about your personal brand, what made you started,
Right.
and also just tell people where to find you, where to follow you, pitch all your stuff there.
Well, first way to find me is I'm mostly doing my Twitter account, which is Dr. Ralph Knapp, DrRalphnap. I have an Instagram page, but I kind of don't know what to do with it, because I'm just don't really like taking pictures of myself, and I think that's and putting up quotes or whatever. I just I kind of lose it on that. So Twitter is where I really am. I was able to put out a lot of my thoughts and a lot of my things, and I only started I've always had a Twitter page, a Twitter account, back from early when Twitter even started, but I never really got into it. I didn't really know how to use it very well. And basically I started up really with it again in January of this year. And almost that short period of time until till this day, I almost have close to 10,000 followers. And it's kind of strange because a lot of the stuff I say online on my Twitter page is basically kind of stuff I talked about right here on this call. But it's telling people in a blunt fashion that they should just get their act together and they should just stop whining and complaining and they should you know live a life of on purpose and with adding value. And for some weird reason, it's like people never heard this before. And you have a lot of younger guys, following me and all this stuff, and it's like they never heard these things before. They've always been told you're the best person in the world, and everything is going to come to you, and if you just think about whatever. And I've always been a person who has been very much into self improvement, having being mentally tough, to not, to overcome your obstacles, that you got to do what you got to do in life, and not to, when something bad comes your way, to run and hide in the corner. You can't do any of that stuff. So, and that's basically how I really started my Twitter page. And it really was more of reminders to myself, because sometimes you get away from those principles, general life principles and business principles. And so I just started really, just putting out my own thoughts and, and getting, going back to my roots of my what I've learned as a young boy, and it's it's caught on pretty good. So I'm very excited about it, and I have some little books that I'm writing and little bits and pieces that I have in here. But it's like, even though I do the Twitter, it's like I want to have some interaction. So I'm actually thinking about putting together some event in November. I've been looking at some different venues in my area, and to actually put on a seminar and talk about these principles, mindset principles, business principles, health principles, because that's the number one thing what you should do. And I think I want to talk about that for 2 seconds. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, or whatever it is, you have to have your health in line. Without your health, nothing else can happen. So that should be your priority number one: being healthy, exercising, eating good food, and everything else. Because what you put inside your body becomes. You put crap inside your body, you're going to have crappy thoughts, you're going to have a crappy body, so it all goes along those lines. So take care of your health, priority number one. So I think I want to, look into this and have, and start, again, the interpersonal, the personal relation, looking at somebody one-on-one and speaking to them in that fashion, So I'm going to use the internet, the online stuff, to get people to kind of show up and have, an interaction in a seminar kind of format. And so I'm thinking of looking to put that together too.
All right, fantastic. Any last final words to perhaps the younger listeners who might follow?
Yes, younger listeners. Okay, well, any listener. All right, just like go back to kind of what I, remember what I said. Adding value to people's lives, being of service without any expectation of return. Now, you're going to run into a lot of people who are going to use up your time in that fashion, and they're going to take a little bit of advantage of you. Don't look at it as a reflection upon yourself. It's a reflection of that other person. So if you did something for them and they never do anything for you in return, don't worry about it. Let them go on their merry way. You help them. You just, don't take it personally. Because the more you keep doing that for people, the more you're going to find eventually the right people to mix with, and you're going to grow your business. So that's an important aspect, and that's basically my mantra in life: be of service, add value to people, and you'll reap the rewards will be immense, not only monetarily but spiritually, physically, emotionally. You'll just have a better life that way.
All right, thank you very much for taking the time. You've talked about a lot of good stuff again.
Good.
And I hope this benefits everyone who's listening, and it's definitely helped me. I've got a few notes written down, some things to think about for my own life as well.
Good, excellent. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the time. I still find it pretty cool when somebody kind of like dials you up and says, "Hey, would you like to do an interview?" So it means you're doing something right in life. I'm living my principles. So if somebody wants to hear me say more, it's a really cool thing. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate being here. So, and I wish everybody success. If you're listening, I wish you success in your business. I wish you success in your life. And I hope you just kill it in every aspect of it. So go for it, without a doubt. And always hit me up. You want to find me on Twitter, Dr. Ralph Knapp. I got my email, a little newsletter also, drralphknapp.com. You can hit me up, ask questions. I try to answer everybody's questions as much as I can, so I'm always there for you.